Why was SubZero and Shang Tsung's relationship inaccurate in the movie?
Your hands are cold, but your soul is warm.
How did Jax actually lose his arms in the video game? And why is Liu Kang's dragon fatality drastically different in the film? Hi, I'm Dylan, and
it has begun!
SubZero and Shang Tsung's relationship. Hey look, this film isn't the first time that Bi-Han is doing Shang Tsung's bidding on screen. The '95 movie saw him being brainwashed as one of the sorcerer's cronies. But if you look at the history of the game, especially the first one, SubZero wasn't a fan of the shapeshifter at all. Basically, he was hired by his clan, the Lin Kuei, to enter the tournament, put Shang Tsung on ice, and take his treasure. Ha! You could say it was a frosty relationship between the two. Besides this drastic change in Bi-Han's story for the movie, his hatred for Hanzo Hasashi is par for the course and true to the game's origins. Though it'll be interesting to see if Bi-Han returns in the future film as his next incarnation, Noob Saibot. The film did tease the transformation as he removed all the blue from his costume and combated in all black, much like the shadowy ninja from the game. At the same time, do you think we'll see his brother take up the mantle of SubZero in the sequel? I mean, you can't have a Mortal Kombat movie without Subby, right? The Mark of the Dragon. In the video game series, Mortal Kombat is kinda like an open invitation for anyone to participate, like a house party at the beach. The greatest warriors in the world enter this prestigious tournament and try to come out victorious in the end for their own reasons. In the film, though, the warriors are only allowed to enter if they possess the Mark of the Dragon on their body. You know, the actual Mortal Kombat logo. Hence why Shang Tsung can creep and know who he should try to off before the tournament even starts. How you get the mark, though, is, rather interesting. Basically, you gain it after you kill someone else who has it. Well, it was never gonna be after winning a game of Scrabble, right? The only fighter who possesses this mark from birth was Cole Young, which is why he's considered the chosen one in this story. To be fair, the film's change to the mythology does make sense from a narrative point of view. How else would you explain the new competitors in the sequel? Would they just be seen as the second best fighters around? Using the mark as the actual entrance ticket to the tournament is actually a pretty cool idea. What is the Arcana? There's a lot of supernatural elements in the Mortal Kombat games, but they don't always receive an explanation. Because hey, these people are just beating each other up for the fate of the world and we accept it as such. So when you see a human character like Sonya Blade pull off a gravity-defying feat or shoot energy out of her wrist, you switch off the logical part of your brain and just go with it. After all, this is a world where a guy has his own name tattooed on his chest, so you know what to expect. The film chooses a different approach, zeroing in on the fact that all these fighters are considered special for a reason. Once they have the iconic dragon mark, they have to discover their hidden power. For Liu Kang, it's the power of fire. For SubZero, it's ice, and etc, etc. Much like the decision to include the dragon mark, it's sorta understandable why the filmmakers went in this direction here. The general audience might not be as keen to suspend its disbelief like MK fans, so there needs to be a small trade-off here. In this case, it's just a simple explanation of how everyone gets their powers and abilities. Well, at least no one was bitten by a radioactive spider, right? The legacy of Cole Young. After the endless online chatter and debate, Louis Tan's character wasn't revealed as Johnny Cage or Kenshi when all was said and done. Instead, he was just Cole, a washed-up MMA fighter created for the film. While his story is closely tied to scorpions, and there's a strong possibility he could take up the Spectre Ninja's mantle in the sequel, he's actually someone we've never met in the MK universe until now. Making him the lead in the movie is still a point of contention among the fanbase though, especially since there's already a host of rich characters to choose from. That being said, his arc was certainly more engaging than originally anticipated, and added something new to the lore. In fact, there's a pretty good chance that we might see Cole becoming a playable character in future video games. Maybe as a new DLC for MK11, or perhaps even as a fresh face in the inevitable MK12. The success of this film will undoubtedly play a major role in if we ever see Scorpion's descendant again. But do you think he was a good addition to the franchise? How Jax lost his arms. Have you ever dropped a frozen ice lolly on the floor? The way it breaks into pieces is sickening. Basically, that's exactly what happened to Jax's arms in the movie after SubZero froze and broke them into a million pieces. Of course, the Master of the Ground Pound received a radical upgrade later in the movie, which he put to spectacular use. Funny enough, in the game's first official storyline, since it's also been rebooted, Jax elected to have his arms fitted with cybernetic upgrades in Mortal Kombat 3. It made him way more powerful as he packed quite a wallop when he smacked the snot out of Outworld's pesky rascals. In more recent games, Jax's arms were destroyed by Ermac in battle, so that's why he got the upgrade. Well, one thing's for sure though, when he does have these cybernetic arms at his disposal, he always looks more of a threat, whether it's in the movies or in the game. Seriously, Jax's head clap fatality is literally one of the most brutal finishers around. Heck, even I get a headache just thinking about it. The true origin of Kano's red eye. In the movie, Kano gets himself into a skirmish with a reptilian creature who leaves a serious mark on the Black Dragon member's face. Later on, the mercenary discovers his Arcana and is able to shoot a laser beam out of his eye like Cyclops from the X-Men. In the games, Kano has a slightly different look, originally boasting a bionic eye that helped him do all the laser stuff. Interestingly enough, Mortal Kombat's co-creator, John Tobias, revealed that the metal plate over the character's eye was actually inspired by Arnold Schwarzenegger's appearance in The Terminator. But how did Kano get the bionic eye in the first place? As it turns out, it was Jax who did some major damage to his face and left him looking like the T-800. Explains why they were never friends who bonded over a brewski. However, Terminator isn't the only influence that was used for Kano's character. You know the heart-ripping fatality? That's straight out of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Kano truly is a man of many secrets. The real meaning of flawless victory. One of the coolest scenes in the movie is when Kung Lao carves Nitara in half with his sombrero, as Kano calls it, poses and says flawless victory to the camera. It's a nice tongue-in-cheek nod and winking reference to the MK fans watching the flick. Unfortunately though, it's actually an inaccurate statement. You see, in the games, a flawless victory means you took no blows, like at all. It's when you literally go through the round without incurring any damage to your life bar and just laid the smack down on your opponent viciously. In the movie, Kung Lao wasn't quite so lucky in that department. He received a few licks in the fight with Nitara and didn't exactly come out of it unscathed. So where he got the idea that it was a flawless victory is anyone's guess here. Mind you though, in the real world, it's unlikely that you'll get into a serious fight and walk away without a single scratch mark. Maybe in the film universe, if you end a fight with all your limbs intact and only a few bruises, it's considered a flawless victory. Someone really needs to ask director Simon McQuad about this, or if Kung Lao was confused. Liu Kang's Dragon Fatality. Remember the last time that Liu Kang used his Dragon Fatality on the big screen?
Oh, nah, I done seen everything.
Yeah, maybe we should try to forget about that one for now. In the new movie, the Shaolin monk doesn't turn into a dragon that tries to fight his opponent. Instead, he uses his fire ability to conjure up a flame dragon that turns up the heat on Cabal and barbecues him. It looks exceptionally cool on screen, but it's something that wasn't always present in the games. Only recently has it become a part of Liu's repertoire. Originally, Liu performed what was referred to as an animality. He'd turn into a dragon and literally sink his teeth into his groggy victim. It was kinda gory, but it certainly matched the video game's outrageous tone. For the movie though, maybe turning into a dragon wasn't always the best idea. I mean, again, the fire dragon looked perfect on screen. Maybe it's best to leave the actual dragons to something like Game of Thrones. They're more than happy to eat people too. Mortal Kombat is certainly bloody in a good way, and we're in the mood to give you more bloody good videos about it. So let us know in the comments section which brutal topics you'd like us to cover next. And while you're at it, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Stay awesome, and thanks for tuning in.